Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today we will have a session of the Ānāpānasati with Ng Yuen Yen. The 9-week course. Today will be the overview, followed by 8 sessions of Ānāpānasati. Dr. Ng? Okay.
Okay, good afternoon. Today is the first day, so I will give an overview. So today's topic is Mindfulness of Breathing, Majjhima Nikaya 118. So this mindfulness of breathing, it has an acronym. This acronym is called MOB, MOB. MOB is Ministry of Buddhism. Okay, so Ministry of Buddhism, and it is also the master of Buddhism. And it is also the means of Buddhist for liberation. So it is the means that the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, used to liberate. So we, the disciples of the Buddha, who also want to learn this method, this means that he used for liberation. When he was about to nearly die from self-mortification, he remembered of the time when he was under the rose apple tree, under the jambu tree, while his father and his kinsfolk were celebrating the ploughing festival. He was doing Ānāpānasati, and he enjoyed it very much. So when he nearly died, he remembered this pleasant sensation. And he asked himself whether he should embark on this Ānāpānasati. And the answer was yes. Because Ānāpānasati's pleasant abiding was not from sensual pleasures of the 5 senses, but it is just of breathing in and out. So we as Buddhists should actually learn this Ānāpānasati well, and that we should mob. That means we should, like fans idolizing a singer or actor, mob. That means fully focus on mindfulness of breathing for liberation. So we go into the sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 118. So this 118 is a very auspicious number. So this auspicious number will bring us to an auspicious place. And when you read this sutta, you can delight in it again and again. So I encourage you to read the sutta that is already posted on the BF website. Now when you read the sutta, you will say, thus have I heard. So thus have Ananda heard. Now where is the place? So there is recorded the place is at Savatthi, the kingdom of Kosala. And it is at the Eastern Park, Pubarama, Eastern Park. And it is at Megara's mother palace. So only if you understand the history, you will be able to appreciate that Pubarama was a monastery offered by Visakha Visakha, who was then termed Migara's mother. Migara was Visakha's father-in-law, but he called his daughter-in-law mother. Okay, so it was at Migara's mother palace. So it is a palace because the monastery is big enough to hold 1,000 monks. And Migara's mother is Visakha. Visakha is the daughter-in-law of Migara. Migara was once a devotee of the naked ascetic, and he was displeased that his daughter-in-law Visakha did not give offerings to the naked ascetics. And then when a bhikkhu came to the door and Migara refused to vouch to offer any to the Buddhist bhikkhu, Visakha told the bhikkhu, "Move on, bhikkhu. He is just taking leftover food." And of course, Migara was furious. He was a millionaire, and he was eating from a golden bowl. So this was an insult to him. But then after mitigation, Visakha explained that his status now was because of his past good merits. And the past good merits are leftover food. But now he's not doing any. When there was a bhikkhu asking for alms, he was not doing any wholesome dana. So after the mitigation, and he asked for her forgiveness, she invited the Buddha and the Sangha to her place. And Migara understood the Dhamma, and then he was delivered. He entered the stream. And so he considered Visakha as his mother. And he rewarded her handsomely. And so handsomely, in the end, she used to actually purchase the Eastern Palace and built 1,000-room or a place where 1,000 monks can stay. So when you read this, you will be very happy. And this is Migara's palace, offered by a female lay devotee. Now then, who are present? The ones that are present are none other than Buddha and the venerable monks. And almost all the senior venerable monks were there. There were Venerable Sariputta, Moggallana, Mahakassapa, Mahakachana, Mahakapina, Mahakotita, Mahachunda, Ananda, Anaruddha, and Riyata. So there were the two chief disciples there. And there were all these eminent Sangha members. And you have Mahakassapa, who presided over the first Buddhist council. And Ananda, who has his superb memory, able to remember all the suttas. So here, we also have one king here. Mahakapina was the king of Cambodia. When he heard of the Dhamma from the traders from Savatthi, from northwest India, he with his 1,000 royal ministers and his wife, the queen from Madras, a princess from Madras, with her 1,000 strong ladies in waiting, they crossed the 3 rivers to meet the Buddha. Apparently, it was said that this is the river and this is Gandhara, and this is Cambodia. And there were rivers here, no? It was said that the Buddha went to meet them. He flew into the air and landed at the bank of the river. And when they crossed the three rivers, 2,000 of them, he was waiting for them. And Mahakapina and the rest, after listening to the discourse, it was said that they became arahants. So this Mahakapina, and we also hear about Mahakapina in the Ānāpānasati Sutta. So it's the collected discourses of Ānāpāna, that means breathing. And the number 7 is about Mahakapina, this king of Cambodia. This king of Cambodia was said to be able to practice mindfulness of breathing so well that his body doesn't shake, his mind doesn't shake. So you can read about him, Mahakapina. And of course, there were 2 kings who became monks when they heard the teachings of the Buddha. It was also in Gandhara, Pukkasati. Pukkasati was a king, and his good friend was King Bimbisara. King Bimbisara wrote and inscribed the teachings of the Buddha on a plate and sent this plate to Pukkasati. And when Pukkasati read what was inscribed, he became a monk. So in the history of the Buddha, there were 2 kings, as far as I know, who on listening to the Dhamma became monks. So it was Pukkasati and Mahakapina. And so on and so forth. Of Sariputta, there were 2 other siblings here. Sariputta, Mahachunda, and Riwata. Mahachunda was the monk who took the relics of Sariputta back to Gautama the Buddha. And Riwata was the youngest of all his siblings that eventually became a monk and an arahant, much to the disapproval of their parents. So you can see, when you see all these elder monks present, oh, your heart will fill with joy. And he said, indeed, besides these elder monks, there are other elder monks. So there's this place, and then these are the monks. And what is the time? The time was, it was a rainy retreat. It was a rainy retreat, and the monks were staying there for 3 months. 3 months, and at the end of the 3 months, the Buddha proceeded. And he was pleased with the Sangha development. And he exhorted them, attain the yet to be attained, realize the yet to be realized, achieve the yet to be achieved. And he said he would stay on after the rain retreat. After the rain retreat, for another month he would stay there. He would stay there till the month of Kumuda, where it's the end of the rainy season, where the white lily bloom. So when the other monks heard that the Buddha would stay for another month there, the monks from the countryside make a beeline to Savatthi, to Pubarama. And there these elder monks will continue to teach 10, 20, 30, 40 new monks. And they taught them all this. 4 foundations of mindfulness, 4 right strivings, 4 spiritual bases, 5 faculties, 5 powers, 7 factors of enlightenment, and 8 Four Noble Paths. That means the 37 factors of enlightenment. And there are others who taught the 4 Brahma Viharas, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha, loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. There were others who also contemplate on the foulness of the body, or impermanence of all conditioned things. And then there was mindfulness of breathing. So these monks were very diligent in their practice. So much so that on the 15th day, on the Upasata day, when the Buddha viewed the monks, viewed the silent group of monks, he said that this is the hardwood. This is the hardwood where many would come, walking for miles with a traveling bag, just to have a glimpse of these monks. And these monks were the hardwood. Why are they hardwood? They are hardwood because there are arahants among them, non-returners, the once returner, and the stream enterer. So, in that assembly, they were all Aryas. So this is the setting. So this is the setting of the sutta, where the place, the time, and what they were practicing. And they have all this, where the Arahants have ceased all their defilements. Right. So this is the setting. Then the second part of it, he talked about the technique. So he talked about mindfulness of breathing. He says that this one thing, if developed and cultivated, will fulfill the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And these 4 foundations of mindfulness will fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment. And these 7 factors of enlightenment will fulfill 2 things: true knowledge and liberation. So besides 118 is 1472. 1 gives rise to 4, and the 4 gives rise to 7, and the 7 gives rise to 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay, let's not play with figures now. Now we go to the technique. Now the technique, so we bear in mind, is of breathing. So breathing in and breathing out. So we go to the breathing. And what? Breathing in, you know that you are breathing in long. Breathing in long, you know you are breathing in long. So the emphasis is breathing in long, you know you are breathing in long. Breathing out long, you know you are breathing out long. So this is the second step, short and you know. And the Buddha's teaching 16 steps are actually literal. Literal means you follow literally. As a trainee, we follow literally. We are literate. So we have to read the sutta. This is the teaching of the Buddha. You have to first read, reflect, and remember. So you need the 3 R's. read, and you must read again and again and again. Every time you read, new things will pop up. Because the Buddha is teaching you again and again. When you read it again and again. And when you practice it, you reflect on it and you remember it. This is how you learn. So we do not want to be the laptop student, where after we get up, everything leaves the lab. Everything leaves. We need to remember, reflect, remember. So, long, and then short. And then he said, breathing in, experiencing the entire breath or body. Breath or body. And breathing out, experiencing the entire breath or body. And then breathing in, calm. Calm the bodily formations. Breathing out long, breathing out, calm the bodily formations. So it's just 4 steps. So the first tetrad is of the body, and is of breathing in long, you know. Breathing out long, you know. Breathing in short, you know. Breathing out short, you know. Breathing in, experiencing the entire breath from the beginning, middle, end, and the pause. And then breathing out, experiencing the entire out-breath. Its beginning, the middle, the end, the pause. And then breathing in, calm the bodily formations. Calm down the body. And then breathing out, calm the body. So this is the first tetrad on mindfulness of breathing. Then he went to the second, on feelings. So feelings, breathing in, experience. He says rapture. That means pleasant body sensation. Because the contact is breathing. Your contact is not with COVID. Your contact is breathing. And when the contact is breathing, generally, breathing itself, the feeling is rapture, a pleasant bodily sensation. So breathing out, experience the pleasant bodily sensation. So, you see the experience come here as pleasant bodily sensation. Then he asks you to then breathe in and experience the happiness of the mind. Because when you contact something, it has an effect on your body and an effect on your mind. So when you contact breathing, just present on your breathing, nothing else. Then that sensation in the body and in the mind is pleasant. So this is a pleasure in the mind. So they call it sukha. This they call it piti. Then he says, experience the mental formations as a sensation, as a feeling, because this is under feeling. Mental formations has a lot of feeling to it. So he asks you to experience that mental formations. Breathing in, experience the mental formations, just like you breathing out and in and experiencing the entire body, you also experience the mental formations, beginning, middle, and end. And then breathing out, similarly experience the mental formation. And fourth, then breathing in, he says, calm. Mental formations. Breathing out, calm the mental formations. So at the end of the second tetrad, this is the first tetrad, this is the second tetrad, your feelings will be calmed down. Okay, it's pleasant in your body, in your mind, and then experience the mental formations, and you calm your mental formations. So this is a feeling of the breathing. Then we have third. After you calm down your mental formations, the mind becomes clearer. So you breathe in, experience the mind. You breathe out, you experience the mind. That's you experience the mind. Breathe out, you experience the mind. Then he says, you breathe in, you gladden the mind. Breathe out, you gladden the mind. Third, so the gladdened mind is easy to concentrate because it's a joyous mind. So you breathe in, you concentrate the mind. You breathe out, you concentrate the mind. Then fourth, you breathe in, you liberate the mind. And you breathe out, you liberate the mind. This concentration of the mind, the consciousness is so powerful. So if you have a magnifying glass focusing on the sun rays on a matchstick or a piece of paper, it will soon light up. The mind's concentration is so powerful, it can liberate the mind. So technically, at the end of the third tetrad, the mind is liberated and become equanimous, clear. The mind is then clear to see things as they are. When the mind is clear to see things as they are, then they are to experience the mind objects. So breathing in, observe the mind objects, and the mind objects are of the body, the feelings, and the mind. That these mind objects of the body, the feelings, and the mind, they are impermanent, fading, cessation, and release. So you see the mind objects. You see these mind objects as impermanent, fading, cessation, and release. This is a natural process. If you have mindfulness of breathing, this mindfulness of breathing will bring you to release. So this is the technique. This is a technique And the mind objects is sometimes called Dhamma. Because all conditioned things have this characteristic of being impermanent, fading, cessation, and release. Then this is the technique. So then you see later on, the other part of it is to say that if you do mindfulness of breathing, you will fulfill the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Fulfill 4 foundations of mindfulness. Because it is, and the 4 foundations of mindfulness is the body, the feelings, the mind, and the mind objects. So because when we do mindfulness of breathing, we do it as breathing. So this breathing is a part of the body. Body. So 4 foundations is of the body, feelings, mind, and mind objects, as in Mahasatipatthana Sutta. And so it fulfills the Mahasatipatthana Sutta on body, feelings, mind, and mind objects. Because when we breathe in and out, this breathing in and out is of the body. And this feelings is the feelings of the part of feelings. And this mind is the mind. And this mind where you are totally present on the mind, and you are fully aware, and you are not forgetful, then you can fulfill mind in mind. And mind objects, as you see them as they are, the body, the feelings, the mind, you see them as they are, that they arise and cease, they fade, cessation, and then release. So then it fulfills the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And then it fulfills the 7 factors of enlightenment. How does it fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment? Because we started off with mindfulness of breathing. And we have unremitting. That means continuous. Every breath, you are on every breath. So you are unremitting mindfulness on the body, unremitting mindfulness of the body, of the feelings, of the mind, and the mind objects. Unremitting mindfulness. You are looking at your body, your feelings, your mind, and mind objects. And each time you are looking at it, when you have the body, your breathing, this mindfulness will lead to investigation. So the first factor is mindfulness, factor of enlightenment. Then it goes to investigation. Then you have the energy because you are investigating. And the energy will lead to rapture. Just like when you exercise a lot, you are in this zone, in a rapture, bodily rapture. And the rapture, when it dies down, gives you tranquility. And when tranquility dies down, gives you joy. And then you can concentrate. And concentration gives you penetration, and you then develop equanimity. So in these 7 factors of enlightenment, doing mindfulness of the body gives you, it develops as it is. Unremitting mindfulness of the feelings gives you similarly. And unremitting mindfulness on the mind also will result in equanimity. And unremitting mindfulness of mind objects will also lead you to have equanimity. So this fulfills the 7 factors of enlightenment. I hope you are following. And these 7 factors of enlightenment, once you have a very clear mind, you then fulfill the 2 things, which is true knowledge and liberation. So your mind may be liberated technically at the end of the 3rd tetrad. But the end of the 7 factors of enlightenment is liberated by true knowledge and liberation. Because by then, you will experience viveka. They call it seclusion. They say seclusion. But the Pali word is viveka, where there's contentment, there's happiness, there's no influxes. So it is seclusion happily. Then there's this seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and release. So it is supporting this with maturity in release. So that's how this sutta, the mindfulness of breathing, first the setting is in a beautiful setting during the rains retreat. The Buddha spent 6 rainy retreats in Pubarama. One of them was where the Ānāpānasati Sutta was discussed. And we have present numerous high monks. And that not only do they teach those present, surrounding monks also came along. And they were taught the 37 factors of enlightenment, the 4 Brahma Viharas, foulness, impermanence, and mindfulness of breathing. And the Buddha then said, this mindfulness of breathing, if you do it, it will give you great fruits and benefits. It will fulfill the 4 foundations of mindfulness. You will develop the 7 factors of enlightenment, and you will gain true knowledge and liberation. So it tells you the body, how you should be doing, the feelings, calm the feelings down, because we are always puppeted by our feelings, and the feelings are the origin of cravings. So here then, experience the mind, gladden the mind, concentrate the mind, and liberate the mind. And then he tells of the mind objects. The mind objects are not the mind base. Okay, so we have a sense base like the eye, etc. And we have the sense object like the sight and the sound. So similarly, there's the mind base, and then there is the mind objects. And you can see the mind objects as rising and falling and fading and ceasing and release. And that if you fulfill these 4 foundations of mindfulness, and you develop the 7 factors of enlightenment, because there's unremitting mindfulness, you are mopping, you're just focusing on mindfulness of breathing. So you will develop the 7 factors of enlightenment to then have true knowledge and liberation. So this is the summary of the Ānāpānasati Sutta, MN118. Can you turn this around? So you now reflect on what I have said, and that we will be going to do this for the next 8 sessions. But this may be a bit heavy for you in the beginning, but it can be done, especially during this COVID period where you are actually in retreat. You give yourself time and the space not to be in the frenetic pace of life, but settle down, take your space and time to then go into mindfulness of breathing. If you could spend time slowly from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, it will be good. Whatever time you have is good if you can spend. Because they said, little drops of water, the ocean fill. So you must have little drops of practice, and then it will be filled. So here, after this heavy thing, we will then go into what just now I talked about. You can I want to talk about the simile of the lamb, because it's part of this Ānāpānasati Sutta. And it's a simile of the lamb. It is 54.8. 54.8. So this simile of lamb, if you can do this well, you will get these benefits. And what is these benefits? You will be bent, and that your taints will be removed. You are going to, on this railroad, it's like it is MTR, mass transit, and this is mindfulness of breathing. So this bent, the Buddha says, when he does mindfulness of breathing, before he became enlightened, as a bodhisattva, his body and the eyes are not tired. And the mind, taints are removed. So when you do this, your body and eyes will not be tired. And technically, the taints of sensual pleasures, of views, or becoming will then be sort of lesser, removed. Technically removed, but may still have some. So you see, these are the benefits. You have able to bend your mind. You're able to bend your mind to this. And then, if you do this, you will be MIA, missing in action. What missing in action? Your memories of the past and the intentions you have for the future, past and future, are abandoned. Okay, thank you. So, you are MIA. And then, if you have, so these are the benefits. Your memories of the past are abandoned. Your intentions for the future are abandoned. You are in the present. And that will be so happy. And you're so happy, you are on like on rum. And why are you on rum? Because now you are on the middle. You are no longer interested. You are away from repulsive. This is repulsive. Repulsive means disagreeable. You don't like. And then unrepulsive is agreeable. This is agreeable, unrepulsive, and repulsive is disagreeable. So, you will be very happy. You are away from repulsive. You are able to avoid repulsive and unrepulsive. You are in the middle. You are very focused. And so, since you are so focused, you will naturally develop jhanas 1 to 8, which is the attainment of perceptions of the form and the formless. Then you can also, because it's so middle, so focused, it goes to jhana 9, which is the cessation of perception and feeling. And 5, you will be fed well. And how are you fed well? Because your feelings will end at death. You will be cool. Your wisdom, you have wisdom and the enlightenment, or the end of suffering, last long till the end when you know it. So you are fed well, because now you will be able to see feelings as feelings. The Buddha says feelings are like a bubble, like a soap bubble. We will see feelings, as being impermanent, fading, ceasing, releasing. We are not caught up in our feelings. And in the 12th dependent origination, the origin of cravings is feelings. And if feelings are impermanent, then we will not have cravings. So if we see feelings as impermanent, non-lasting, cannot be grasped, then at the moment, then where it ends, at the time of death, or even not necessary for the time of death, but then where we do not want to have rebirth into suffering, then the feelings, they are seen as detached, and it ends well. And you do not hunker for the next impermanent thing. So, it will be like the lamp, the oil lamp, and the flame depends on the wick and the oil. If there is no ignorance and no craving, and there is no craving for becoming, for clinging or anything, as long as there's no one dot, not one iota of delight, and all delight are seen as it is, that they are impermanent, not to be held on, then there will be no landing. So then the body is cool. So this is the simile of the lamp. It tells you that here you can have end of suffering. When you do mindfulness of breathing, your body and your eyes will be not tired. Your taints will be removed. You will have past memories and future intentions abandoned. You are just in the present, and that you will be enjoying yourself in the middle, away avoiding the repulsive and the unrepulsive, and that you will have focus. You are no longer distracted. You can be one-pointedness effortlessly to go to your jhanas 1 to 8. And then if the mind is mature enough to see cessation, then there is cessation of perception and feelings. And we say perception of feelings and feelings are the origin of cravings and clingings. So when it ceased, then there's no more. And then you will be fed well. You'll be very nourished by this. The feelings will end as nature ends at death. There's no more spark to the another burning forest. So it will end well. You are well fed. So this is the sutta I want to share with you all. Okay, and since now you have time, I will go into the first tetrade. Okay, so you can take a break 5 minutes, then we will continue. If you want to take a pee break, so that we then come back to do the mindfulness of breathing, and then you sort of like stretch a bit, and then we settle down to do mindfulness of breathing.
Okay, we will have 15 minutes of questions before we come to the meditation part. Okay, Dr. Ng, let's do a few questions first. Under feelings, what does the Buddha mean by experiencing the mental formations? Does he mean thoughts?
Okay. Actually, when we go into the practice, when I'm dealing with the feelings, I will explain further. But if you are experiencing the mental formations, if you read Majjhima Nikaya 43 and 44, the formations, the bodily formations are considered breathing in and out. Verbal formations is considered thought and sustained thought. And mental formation is considered as perception and feelings. So in the third step of the second tetrade, it is to experience whatever perceptions and feelings you have. So it is perceptions and feelings. So if we see this, you read Majjhima Nikaya, Mahavedala as well as Chulavadala, he explains very clearly the formations. So these are mental formations. Now how does these formations go into the bigger picture? In the 12 DO, dependent origination, it's because of ignorance that we have volition formations. Volition formations can be prompted by yourself or by others. Okay, like, the government tell you, wear mask, you wear mask, prompted by others. If you wear mask, you wear yourself. And if they say, we want to open up, then you consider for yourself whether you want to have safe distancing still, until the numbers go down to 0. So these volitional formations is dependent on ignorance. So, volitional formations, then you bring about bodily formations. So in mindfulness of breathing, we say breathing in and out. But bodily formations can mean postures. I put myself in a posture of standing, or sitting, or walking. These are my bodily formations. And when I shower, this is my bodily formation. When I brush my teeth, when I eat, these are my bodily formations. When my mind tells my COO, the brain, hey, I want to eat, I want to do safe distancing. So I would have some bodily formations to then not stand so close to another. So these are exhibited by bodily formations. So verbal formations, I must think first. To make a sentence, I must have that thought and sustained thought to tell you an explanation to your question on mental formations. And then I say it out, verbal formations. Then we have mental formations. Mental formations are all the type of mental formations, including mindfulness of breathing, because you have to tell yourself, stay focused, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And when you perceive that you are breathing in and breathing out, you also feel the breathing in and breathing out in the section, the tetrade of feelings. But in addition to all these feelings you have on top of the breathing in out, there are other feelings that are held on to. You have mental formations that you're held on to. Maybe you're clinging to something, your attachment to maybe your relatives or things or stressed out. So this has mental formations. So when people go for massage, they feel good because all their contractions are shown up in their body. They have still sort of choked up formations in the body. These mental formations can be experienced in the body. And so when you breathe in and you breathe out, mental formations can be experienced. And you see them come and go. And these mental formations can be of the breathing. If you just focus on breathing, can be just of the breathing. But if you also have grief and greed, then all these mental formations are there in you too. All your clinging is there in you too. So then it might come when it might be released. There might be, flashes of memories. And with the flashes of memories, you would have experienced the feelings. When people have post-traumatic syndrome, they have this flashback. Together with the flashback, when they cling to the 5 aggregates, the feelings come, the mental formations come, the fear come. So when we are cooped up, we can think of 1,001 things. What can go wrong? So there can be a lot of negative feelings. So negative that you can go into deep despair and depression. And it may be just imagined. So they call this Sankara. And when it's so overwhelming, so all this ignorance, we say go to consciousness and to the sixth sense base, to your contact, feelings, craving, clinging, becoming to birth, aging, disease, death, sad or sad, sorrow, agitation, depression, despair, and the 5 aggregates of clinging to either your body or to your feelings or to your perceptions or to your mental formations, to thoughts in general, or to consciousness. So when you cling, then the Buddha says you were one thought only, one contact it can just blow. And then if you have, when you used to work before as a worker, and suddenly you're cooped up, you're not working, but your mind is working. And then if it's untrained and doesn't know mindfulness, then this contacting this will have a lot of mental formations. You know, they think a lot. Then can give rise to bad and sad and aggregate, and the 5 aggregates of clinging. So this is what the Buddha says, mental formations. And mental formations, you can see arise and see it cease. So in short, how mental formations manifest in the body. Because we need to recognize mental formations. We feel good, we feel bad, we feel pleasant, we feel unpleasant. So this is manifested in feelings. And so we just see them as feelings. We recognize them as feelings, arise and cease, and then we just calm them down. Because they arise depending on conditions. And it only ceases, cessation of mental formations cease only in the jhana 9, but we can calm it down. So that's the long explanation for this question. I hope it clarifies rather than confuse further.
Next question. We have 3 more questions here.
Okay.
How to overcome hurtful feelings using meditation? Which step to use?
Okay. We do not do shortcuts. Okay, we do not go straight to feelings. Feelings belong to the mental part of it. When the mental part of it suffers, we must know how to ground ourselves in the body. And so when we ground ourselves in the body, on our breathing, in our postures, in our activities, you can calm down your feelings. When you're calmed down, then you can see your feelings properly. So the Buddha says the 5 aggregates, the body is like foam. And it's called rupati, means it deformed. And as the water comes rushing down the river, he saw the river rushing down, and he saw the foam. He says the body is like the foam. It's deformed, changing all the time. And feelings are like bubble. It's empty. And if you hold on to the feelings that has gone, then you will hurt a lot. So you have to train yourself first to ground yourself, to ground your mind on your body, to see the escape. You cannot keep just looking at the hurt. Then the clinging gets more and more. You must be able to shift your mind's focus first on the body, then you can address the feelings, then you can address your mind, because we are sort of putting one at a time, but they are actually all together the 5 aggregates. But you have to undergo training. So when we undergo training, then we can see things as they are. It's not instant noodles. It's not appear. It requires practice, and more practice. And we hurt still, it means we are clinging. And we have not put enough balance. We don't know how to uncling. So we have to practice to see the teachings of the Buddha, because he taught us how to end clinging, end suffering, end hurting. So this is you cannot jump. You have to go through the 16 steps. After the 16 steps, then you look at the hurt again. And then you will see the score reduce and may disappear. Because everything is depending on conditions. Any more questions
Yes. 2 more questions.
before we go? What's the question?
Stop. If we focus on our breathing in and out, the first 5 minutes we are calm and peaceful. However, the next feeling is feeling of fear subconsciously. You have uneasy feeling, but you are aware of this feeling, and at the same time you are somehow expecting an external breath, but it is nowhere to be found or felt. How do we calm this down?
So this person has fear at the same time. So fear is a mind object. So this mind object, if you feed it, it will grow. Okay? The Buddha says the Four Noble Truths. The origin of the fear has to be seen for what it is. And then you look at it, and then whether you can let it go, abandon it. That's the second noble truth. The second noble truth says the origin of suffering has to be abandoned. And if it is fear, then the origin of that fear has to be abandoned. So this requires you to ask yourself very clearly, what is the origin of fear? So the object can be there, or it is, sometimes people have a phobia of snakes or cockroaches. So there are no snakes, no cockroaches now. But if you bring it up, they then have the fear that comes up. But there are no cockroaches present. So this part of it, you must be able to bring it up, like from your desktop, and then bin it. So the mind, you must be able to see the mind and mind objects. So fear is also the same thing. Fear is a mind object. And then you have to train yourself to see. But if you focus on the body, on the breathing, you know that this is an escape. So this escape, you can develop it into a power. And then when it's powerful enough, then you can look at the feelings. So this course requires you to put this aside and then focus on the object at hand. And then when you focus at object at hand, you realize what you are holding on to. And then if you see as impermanent, you can let it go. So now is enough already, the questions?
2 last questions.
Okay.
Is Sankhara the second link of the 12 dependent origination?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Does it include all body, mind, and verbal formations?
Yes, it does.
Not only mental formation, right?
Yes, just now I said the body, verbal, and the mental formations. So if you want to read up about the Sankhara, you can go to Samyutta Ninanda, number 12, Ninanda. Okay? So you can read about dependent origination, or Mahaninanda.
Okay. The last question before meditation. We are supposed to be mindful and only look at the present moment, yet we need to remember. Doesn't remembering involve something in the past? What does this remembering mean? How do we remember every single moment and yet still be in the present?
Okay. So remembering is a perception. So you need to filter, right? you need to filter what you should remember. Right. So we have the word perception. Perception is you remember the contact. So we say ignorance give rise to volition, volition give rise to consciousness, which give rise to go to the mind body, to the sixth sense base, to the contact. And contact give you feeling. The first contact give you feeling. So you contact something first, then you have a feeling. Then after that, you put this feeling into your perception. Means maybe, okay, people says you contacted something, and then this has a nice feeling. Singaporeans, like this durian, this store or this hawker store cooks very good food. So the first time you go, you verify that it was a pleasant feeling. So you put it into your memory. So your perception then become that this is a store that sells this nice food. And how this contact give you feeling, and feeling give you craving, and craving give you clinging and becoming, and then birth, bad and sad. So the next time when you delight in that food and you want to taste it again, so you go to your memory, you remember the perception that this is nice food. You remember it is nice. So if you delight in it, you'll go back. You will bring your body. First you must have the thought. You bring the body to go back to the hawker center, okay, contact again, and you ask for that food. Now, the cook might have been sick, might have COVID or something, and then there has a replacement cook. The food may not be up to your standard, but it's the same store. So this perception that the food is constantly that standard, then change. But if, let's say that person is the same cook and give you the same standard, like, all this fast food, Starbucks or what, they all have this protocol in doing their food, no? So they all have this standard. So you expect a certain standard. So there's the perception. Same thing, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, etc., etc. So you have a perception that it will give you the good standard. It will fulfill your craving for bubble tea or whatever. So then you go back to it again and again. But things may change. So you remember this. But it is also this that we use, because perception is said to be a mirage by the Buddha. But we are just bodies and perception. In the 9 abodes of beings, we are the bodies, different bodies and different perception. In the Brahma Viharas and hells, they have the same perception that it is hellish down there, or it is loving kindness up there. So it's just body and perceptions. So they may have the different perception, same body, like the devas or radins, or have the same body and the same perception, like the luminous bodies of the devas. So we have different bodies and different perceptions as human beings. So perception is something that we have to develop well in our practice. When we practice the mindfulness of breathing, requires our perception. That means our remembering. And when we see impermanence, fading, and cessation, the Buddha used this faculty, this ability that we have, so that we will see every contact as impermanent. So we then have perception of impermanence. Perception of cessation. Perception of non-self. Perception of foulness. You must have the perception of impermanence. If you do not have the memory of impermanence, whoever will say, the suttas will say impermanence, 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 you would not understand because you have not seen. You will only be able to have perception of impermanence, anatta, cessation, non-self, foulness, if you have seen for yourself. And so we have to cultivate and develop mindfulness so that our mind is clear to see things as they are, as impermanent. And so we use this remembrance or perception of impermanence to counter all things that we see. And we see them as they are impermanent. And so we remember perception. So when we say mindfulness is one thing, and clear comprehension. Clear comprehension means we have the perception of impermanence, fading, cessation, release. It has to be seen and appreciated. You see without appreciation. You see with appreciation, then you taste the fruit. If you see but don't understand what you see, it's not a clear perception. So people may see impermanence, but they sometimes still have this sense of atta. If you see impermanence very, very clearly, it's changing so fast, there's nothing ever permanent possible in impermanence. So it's never possible to have a self or soul in all conditioned things. So it is perception, and the training is to see again and again and again. So this is perception, and so we must remember. We don't want to remember unwholesome things. We want to remember wholesome things. We want to remember the 37 factors of enlightenment. You want to see perception of the essentials, not the non-essentials. The non-essentials is, where is my car parked? What else? You know, those are non-essentials. The essential things is the mind, feelings, body, mind objects. So you remember, and when you see it, you remember impermanence, fading, cessation, and release. These are the essentials.
Thank you, Dr. Ng.
Okay.
Now we can proceed to your first first tetrad on the body.
Yes. So the Buddha says when you start, you go to the forest, he's telling that to his monks. Go to the forest, go to the root of the tree, or go to an empty house. So you have to find a quiet space for yourself to meditate. And in that space, he says, this is the important part. Put your mindfulness in front of you. Mindfulness in front of you. And this is pari mukha. It is just where your mask is, in front of you. It's in front of you, and you see yourself breathing in and breathing out. So he asks you to put mindfulness in front of you. Now you feel for yourself, what is mindfulness in front of you? Now mindfulness in front of you. Now you put your mindfulness at the back of you, and you straighten your back. You can fold your legs if you can, or you sit on a chair. Put your back upright and put your mindfulness in front of you. This mindfulness in front of you is your face here, around here. And you're breathing in and out. As you see, like you're breathing in and out, you notice your mask in, out, in, out. He wants you to see mindfulness of breathing in front of you. Hello, sorry for the technical problem. So we are back to the practice. So we start off with the mindfulness in front of you. So that's with mindfulness in front of you. You notice the breathing in and out in front of you. So you don't follow your breathing into your chest or follow the rise and fall of the abdomen. You watch the breathing in and breathing out in front of you. So now you know where to put your mindfulness. The next step is to go into the first tetrade. So the first step is breathe in long. You know you are breathing in long. Breathe out long. You know you are breathing out long. Starting with long breaths in and out will help relax and calm the body. So it's like a cooling down. Just as we do physical exercises, we warm up the body. Here we cool it down, relaxed it by breathing in long and breathing out long. So we shall start. Breathing in long. You know you are breathing in long. Can he talk? Okay. Then the breathing in long, you know you are breathing in long. Breathing out long, you know you are breathing out long. Every breath is different, so you go on. Every breath, breathe in long. You know you're breathing in long. You carry on in this manner by yourself. If there are thoughts, just refocus on the breathing. You feel the air of breathing in and breathing out. Do not be distracted by anything. Put aside every other thing, just on your breathing in long and your breathing out long. Remember, put your mindfulness in front and breathing in long, and you know it's breathing in long. As you feel the air breathing in and breathing out. Do not be tense about breathing long. It's a very gentle long, and you are enjoying it. Breathing in long, you know you're breathing long. Breathing out long, you breathe out long. And you know every breath in and every breath out, you know. Today we shall just do this, putting mindfulness in front of you and breathing in long and breathing out long. Only the step one of the first tetrad. So you practice this, just this, every day, possible twice a day, in the morning and the evening. You can start off with 5 minutes, and you can 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. If you can do that, it will be good for you. It's going to approach 5 o'clock, and the session will end soon. Here we wish you a happy Vesak 2020. V is for vision and the goal. E is for the end of suffering. S is to be safe, secluded. A is for abandonment. K is for kilesas, or the knots of craving and clinging. So Vesak is a vision and goal to end suffering, to be safe and secure and seclude, abandon the knots of craving and clinging and suffering, or they call kilesas. So happy Vesak 2020. May all of us practice hard and diligently on the mindfulness of breathing daily to realize what the Buddha and all the Aryans, Sangha before us have realized, to reach the yet to be reached, to realize the yet to be realized, to attain the yet to be attained, and so that we can be actual disciples of the Buddha, to allow the sasana to last long, and that more will benefit. For the teachings of the Buddha is excellent in the beginning, excellent in the middle, and excellent in the end, complete in purity in the spirit and the letter. So sadhu, 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 we will strive on. So now I hand over to the organizers to do the last puja of the day.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. We shall dedicate the merits to all sentient beings.
Etavata ca amhehi sampatam punya sampatam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etavata ca amhehi sampatam punya sampatam sabbe buddha anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etavata ca amhehi sampatam punya sampatam sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya.
Let us now share our merits with our departed relatives and friends.
Idame nyatidam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatidam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatidam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo.
Closing homage.
Arahan Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Avivademi Pao. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Pao. Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sanho Sangham Namami Pao. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.